Yes, a question that's been asked to me as well very often is whether I've taken a picture of a painting. It is, although I have not done it consciously, I realized recently that my global intention is to bridge the gap between photography and painting. When I started photography way back in 1969, the digital world did not exist. And my focus intentionally, again, was the landscapes of my place of birth. I'm Bolivian. And the intensity of the light in such altitude is a tremendous challenge for a black and white negative. Then when I came to England and became a digital photographer, I embarked upon digital imagery completely and wholeheartedly. I still do the same things that I did way back when I started photography. And normally what the camera gives me, as far as landscapes, is about 60%. The other 40% is my input. It was more or less a necessity. Many photographers take the same photograph over and over and over again, meaning might not be the same subject, but it is the way it's done. I was getting a little bit too much into that, so I moved on to more or less simultaneously into what I call imaginations, which is digital art or montage in all terms parlance. That is when my imaginations projects normally each one has about between 4 to a dozen photographs that spliced together make up one image. I find that my photographs are mostly scenes, sets, where the human is present by its absence. I find dealing with the human connotation difficult. Well, when I started moving onto still life, the one that influenced me, well, because I read about it and I found it fascinating, especially visualizing the images, is Caravaggio. Traditionally, it seems that he was the first male painter to focus specifically on a group of apples and of us. The first still life painter separate from a scene was Caravaggio, in the way he set up, as he normally does in all his paintings, the strength of the light that is it comes only from one source. That is also very influential in me, where light in most of my still lives, instead of coming from the left to the right, they in fact come from the right to the left, counterintuitively, since the European eye is trained to see as we read, i.e. from left to right. Yes, I have two books published. One is recently, actually about 4 years ago, for a festival in Bolivia called Gran Poder, where there is about 40,000 participants. And I did it as a private edition of 300 copies. But the major work, another more important work, is a book I did with a Latin American writer, Bolivian writer, Jaime Sainz, famous novelist, poet, and scriptwriter. We together decided to do a portrayal of the city of La Paz around 1977. And the book is divided into two parts. One is places, typical places of the city at the time, and people, traditional people within the mythology and the culture of the city. Shoeshine, the I don't know, the fortune teller that tells fortunes with a little bird, and so on and so forth. All those things presently no longer exist. So as a record of the city, it is a very important book. To the extent that the mayor of the city gives each high school graduate of a public school a copy of the book. About 60% is given to me by the camera. In all the rest, all of it is about 60 to 80% is my creation itself. Therefore, like imaginations, each image would contain between 6 and 10 at least images that create one whole image. I am definitely keen on the post-processing method. Definitely. Without Photoshop, most likely I wouldn't be talking to you. Trying to put my point of view, which is what Alfred Stieglitz once said, is not what I see, but how I see it. I'm intrigued by by humans, so I'm trying to go into the portraiture aspect of it. I've started with self-portraits, and that section is called The Self. And I think I've got 3 of those self-portraits, and then I think I've got another 3 of other people. Portraiture is the next stage.